Mute off.
Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to another adventure into reality. Today is the day we clock out of time and walk over the metaphorical line. Aho, Earth Mother, who holds this sacred space, so I may create sacred space within. I call to you at this moment of moments, in which I look to the wholeness of myself in all forms of reality. I call upon Earth to assist me in unraveling the story that is me, unfolding in my perception of the now. Help me use hindsight and foresight in a method that continues the co-creation with our realms. It is here I choose to make spiritual contracts with the streams of dreaming light in the ancient past. Now, the ancient future is present in these moment of moments. The healer's tools have been laid out in ceremonial fashion. The grouse feather to the east, revealing the dawn of the new age of man. To the north, the bear claw necklace honors the dreamers of the ancestors on the blue road of spirit. The south direction holds the cocoon of friend butterfly, waiting for us to become innocents with joy once more, transforming our state of life into the next layer of the dream weave. To the west, the black stone doorway remains clear with intentions past, present, and future. The way is clear. The path is not broken with the footsteps of the ancestors, charting a course for all future dreamers to enter the silence and know the dream time is not separate, but equally layered over each other, creating the uniworld we live in. I call it the medicine of the dreamers of the southern skies. I ask them to aid me in co-creating a message to all sentient kind living and coexisting in Earth's realms. Aho, Red Road brothers and sisters, we call out beyond the dream weave, direct into your knowingness heart space. We speak these words of dreaming unity. Know all is well, the path is clear, the way is not broken. All frequencies of lights now flow in and out of the uniworlds of self-reflection and expressions of the self in the I am moments of now. The next layer of knowingness is for those on the red road, living blue road lives as equal co-creators in this dance of life. Your spirit has done its work on both sides. Now is the time you see the work for what it is and what it was and what it will be, with equal eyes of knowingness. There are few people on the red road who will assist you on your process today. During this process, many red road walkers will come to you asking to engage with them with magic and medicine. Our answer will be no, unless they can manifest clarity of heart space, love without conditions or strings attached, and the willingness to expand their knowingness. Each of you are a special, unique signature frequency of being created solely for the moments of now. After the moments of now pass and the world comes into balance, a great reassembling of Earth's greatest champions will be reunited in Spirit Council. You all will be asked to create books of wisdom to be passed down to the future generation of dreamers and peacekeepers. Your work in the dream space of spaces between the many worlds interacting with this space. It'll be the key and defining process for many looking for the celestial mysteries they have seen in their dreams since the dawn of Earth's dreaming mind, sharing the wholeness of all celestial dream space. I, in this ever-present moment of now, choose to form a multi-layered spiritual cord of equity for the express purpose of sharing the Akashic records at the proper scale and size so that the beings of light may reclaim their birthright legacy of knowingness and not unknowingness, blissful ignorance of the multi-layered truth world we live in now. It takes a being who knows they're made of light to manifest the light of the Akashic records. In the colloquial now, for only within the moments of now will the record unpack into the beings incarnate manifest in I am presence technology within sacred neutrality. I summon all ancestors, past, present, and future, in equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order to populate this manifest now spiritual chord of equity, so the manifest now may begin the process of expansion of knowingness for the expressed purpose of revealing our race amnesia. So we as a species in global unity may begin to tell the tales of ancestors, past, present, and future. I call to Earth Mother, who holds sacred space for all life within in her realms of light existence. Come occupy this multidimensional spiritual chord of equity. I ask that you be sovereign, neutral auditor of time-space existence within this expression of teaching of the Akashic records to the first pod of whale people assembling in the mighty co-creative moment of the now. I call to the Galactic Central Sun, who is the source of our prime creation of spiritual commerce in the framework of galactic existence. I ask that you be the sovereign neutral auditor of time and space, so I may understand the scale and size in which this soul stream works on through the manifest moments of the now. I call to the universal central sun of this universe that holds sacred space for all life, incarnating within the entirety of all of this universe, seen and unseen. I ask you to come into to this multidimensional spiritual chord of equity for the expressed purpose of aiding all sovereign neutral witnesses encapsulated with this spiritual chord of equity to understand the difference in scale and size in which all store streams work at. I, in this ever-present moment of now, open a unique sacred moment of moments. With the power of choice, I open a 0-point floating anchor point in hierarchical time-space. I empower this no-time sacred creation with all ancestors, past, present, and future, to be a lucid dream space construct available to all those who can emanate heart-spaced awareness without strings or conditions attached as their methods and ways of daily life. Choosing a balance of extremes, choosing exploration of the heart-mind construct without saving charge or polarity to argue for the future limitations or fears. I unify my dreaming I am self with the global dream time of earth mind. I empower the space of all time with all master codexes of time-space creations. I summon the dancing shamans of earth's dreaming mind to aid us in dancing the dream of life. I ask the shamans to use the dancing power of rhythm inside us all to syncopate a seen and unseen world with communion and union and equal co-creation. I call to the dreamers of the southern skies, our mediums to the innocence of the 7 future generations, to hold sacred neutral space as we, the beings of now, acting in lineage responsibility to our future selves waiting to be born. Here is where we now anchor the Akashic record frequency. We do this by sharing light codes in the form of language and third density manifest words. With these words, we make sacred our expression by holding the sacred neutral position. We share the common moral code of do no harm to any sentient kind in your knowingness. We want those to stand in their power no matter what density they are. We all want to be a brilliant life expression of spirit geniuses, planning agreements with the soul migrations, because we are at the beachhead of a new galaxy. We want freedom for all sentient life. We want all life forms to have representations in our council of evolution and expansions. Do not disavow or any section, sex, factions, or fractal aspects of factions. We want all forms of representation in the new evolving council of high-density co-creators. There are other factions of light in the universe that will be invited into this section of space. And then we must have self-spawned celestial mediums. The higher density information can be encoded in light language for the moments of now. And it'll be us, the co-creators of the moments of now, who get to take us to the next level. Well, that is the internet revealing to me that there are a world of callers wanting to call into the adventure into reality. El Mystico, our senior producer, Mr. Mystic, Robert, will spin the wheel of callers.
The wheel of callers has someone calling in from Parkside, Wisconsin area.
Oh my God, it is me.
Yes, that is you. What is your name, you?
It's Danny Sosa. Yep, I'm from Wisconsin.
Hi, Dan.
Kenosha.
So from Minnesota. How you doing today?
All right, so I'm good. I'm in Wisconsin, but I'm good.
In Wisconsin, right?
Yeah. I was this a themed show or just a regular call-in show?
It's a reading show. It's a regular college. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see here. My I went to your Living the Mystical Life Daily event.
Okay.
And it was a really incredible and powerful experience for me. And man, I did not expect to get through right now. I just picked up my son from school.
So
and,
what was
I'm about to talk about.
What was the big thing you got from the event, the live event?
Well, one of the biggest things was that coming to the understanding that I did deserve to be there, that that to start loving myself, which was very difficult for me. And that I was worthy of these experiences, like of the mystical, of co-creating with everyone, great mystery, and being a part of, what's going on here on the planet.
So I have some interesting information for you. Well, we just decided yesterday we are going to be doing Living the Mystical Life Daily 2018 in Los Angeles, California, October 4th through the 7th. So we'll be releasing that information shortly here. That was just finally, we booked our dates with that. And we're looking forward to doing another one. And in synchronistic, you're the first caller from the Wheel of Callers. So what else about the event did you, we had meditations. Did you have any experiences at the actual event?
Well, yeah, I had a lot of experiences. With never been around that much soul family before, and all the unique, I don't know, emotions and feelings that you get, like I don't know, even familiarity of faces, and there's just so much that happened. All these little moments I had with all these people ended up facilitating all these powerful moments of growth later on in retrospect.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just, everyone resonates with you. It was a very unifying experience. Humbling too, in a lot of ways. Yeah.
How did the consciousness strike affect you?
That was Andrew. That was it was insane because of the levels of intensity that you were building up to throughout the entire event and weekend. I mean, the physical sensations that I was getting from you raising the frequencies each and every time, was, I don't know, I've never experienced anything like that. And I'm also interested in organite devices and being around your devices. Oh my gosh. I spent a little bit of time going around and, feeling the different ones, and they're just all powerful and unique. But, so
special tools.
So when we when the consciousness strike came at the end, whoa, that was it was like, the pinnacle of all this energy building that each and every day was, pushing, I don't know, further and further. And it all, I don't know, built into this incredibly powerful unification moment between all of us. And it was amazing. Life-changing.
Outstanding. So what questions did you want to talk today?
Well, my questions have to do with a topic that's difficult for me to talk about, but it is the reason why I called in. I'm a recovering heroin addict,
Okay.
and I'm still dealing with being on methadone and things like that.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of creating myself out of this,
Huh?
you know,
This pro-
position.
how long you been sober now?
Well, sober from, I mean, I'm still on methadone, so some people would say I'm not sober.
No, that's
But
just how long have you been off of heroin?
I had a relapse 1 year ago. So before that was a couple years, but now it's been a year and 4 months.
Okay.
3 months.
So each time you have a relapse, it's because you've allowed your frequency to lower enough and some form of ghosts have been reattracted to you. 80% of all relapses in heroin addicts are ghosts. Now, I deal a lot with addiction recovery people. A tremendous amount of my private sessions are that, from every walk of life, from the highest to the highest to the lowest of lowest. And what you were talking about, recreating yourself. You have to understand it still comes back to your first choice to use drugs in that format. There is where the most amount of, let's just say, rips in your time frequency will exist. So, for the audience sake and for teachers' sake, because there are many people here that this can go out to, and thank you for calling in and have the courage to say what you're going through. So the first thing to understand here is what you chose to do and why. So how old were you when you first started?
I had to have been about, it was after high school, but before I turned 21. So probably 19, maybe
And
20.
that was your first round of heroin?
No, I started with prescription pills, and I guess ended up moving to heroin for financial reasons.
So you went from Oxycontin style to heroin?
Yes.
Okay. And then when you went to go get off, how bad were the withdrawals?
Um, they're they're the most horrible thing I've ever experienced, physically and emotionally and mentally. It's intense.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. What was the question?
So about the withdrawals, they were very intense. And then after the withdrawals,
Yes.
you've been off that, and then they put you on methadone. So how long
Yeah.
can you
Well,
be?
I actually was. I actually got on methadone my first time around. I switched from those to methadone, and then quit methadone cold turkey somehow, which is like 30 days of withdrawal. And then years later, I relapsed, and now I'm back in this methadone situation again.
You relapse because you never healed the original trauma, the original wound, as well as each time you've had to go through withdrawals, you've doubled up and made new wounds inside the physical body itself, and as well as the dreaming body. There are rips and tears in the dreaming frequency. So inside the Living the Mystical Life Daily course that you went to, inside your book, is a dream world clearing meditation, and then the universal meditation, galactic time. You need to fix the rips in time. So every time you've done heroin, you've had blackout moments. Okay.
Yeah.
Moments where you give away all of your sovereign power, and whatever's around you can do whatever it wants to do through your body as a psychic instrument of experience. And that is another form of trauma that needs to be healed through regular ceremonies of self-healing and self-nurturing. So one of the most instrumental tools for you will be flotation tanks. Do you remember me talking about them at the event?
Yes, I do.
Have you done it?
I visited one prior to the event once.
Okay. So you really need to do like 10 in a row, like 4 in a week, 4 in another week, and 2 in a last week. And then you take 5-6 weeks off to see what it does for you. First thing first, you're floating in 800 pounds of salt and 200 gallons of water. Your brain literally runs off of magnesium, and you're floating in magnesium sulfate, which your body's immediately converting. So you're adding cranial fluid, you're recharging your chemical body. Now, many float centers offer a massage before you go in. I very much advise that, especially if they have a cranial sacral person that can realign your spine and you go and float. For anyone that's in a drug recovery scenario and its withdrawals are going to be one of those things, if you have access to a flotation tank, you can really ease off some of that horrid pressure you've talked about.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay? And the next thing to understand
yeah,
is in the state your body is still damaged. And it's that damage that creates a weakness that allows other things as external projections at you to come and get off the bandwagon and go and reuse again. And you don't want to reuse. That's where you're at.
No.
But you don't want to get off all of the drugs. Well, that's still a ways away. Okay? You need to create a recipe of wellness for you. And that comes into balancing all of the things that you did while you're on the drugs that you can remember, and all the things that you don't remember have to be put to rest. And that's your dreaming frequency that was severely abused by the drug itself, because the drug itself has a curse on it. All of the criminal energy that's involved to get that drug to you is a cursed energy. So you need to see the spiritual side of what that drug is and begin to break contracts, vows, and agreements with it. Think of all of the social situations you were in where you were using or not using, and what it created and the disasters it created within your life. And those are your trials and tribulations that you're giving as testimony to your ancestors to not use this drug, so it passes to the future generations. It is your own prayer and testimonial. So your whole voice is heard as a victory ceremony in the guidance of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? You've got to truly empower yourself to the next level and then begin to do the healing. Have you done any internal colon cleansing?
No, I have not. That's something I know that I need to do.
You actually have trace elements of all the forms of drugs still within your intestinal tract right now. This is the other reason.
Okay.
Everyone who's an addict redoes it because they still have something left in that's trapped in mucus that the body will seek out and find. So you need to do a full-on colon cleanse with parasites. So there's one thing about Oxycontin versus heroin. So when you're taking large volumes of Oxycontin, it actually binds up your feces super strong. Even if you're snorting it or smoking it or swallowing it, whatever it does, it still does that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have tremendous amounts of heavily petrified and bound feces in all forms of your intestines. So you're looking at a minimum of 6 to 10 colonics to get let's say a 60% chunk of it out of there, so that your liver can let down, your kidneys can let down, and your gallbladder, because they're all blocked up too. That is the other reason why you sick eat. If you truly take the attack on the parasites, because parasites, as soon as you start doing heroin, your whole immune system changes in its response level, and you become very prone to intestinal parasites. So I would say that percent of all the food you eat right now, you don't actually get to use any of the energy because the parasites are using it inside your intestine.
Oh wow. Okay.
Whatever budget you have, it's colon cleansing and flotation tanks.
Okay.
Serious. Now, there are ways to make this effective for yourself, and this is your best bang for your buck here. Now, because you're on methadone and you're still in that situation, it's going to be a while. If you are able to do these colon cleansing and the flotation tanks all in a very short period of time, let's say a month, you can get all that done.
Yeah.
You can begin some of your choice points of other stimuli that may cause, let's say, relapse, because you got to look at your friends, your family, and then why you can always know where to get it. Your brain is always wired to know where to get it. You got to begin to dewire your brain where to get it. It's a psychic. So that's something like the course.
I'm losing you. I can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So what I was saying is you've got to retune the psychic side of your brain that is looking for always knowing where the drugs are, so that you can begin using the course as the psychic focus.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Too much with my. Okay.
Learning to retrain yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
The daily
Yeah.
practice is what will ultimately beat being a junkie. And that's something you don't ever want labeled to you, do you?
God, no. It's something
No.
I'm trying to. Yeah. I want to get rid of that.
In my years of doing this, I developed the system that I talked about at the event for specifically for people that were going through drug withdrawals. Now, I know I offer this as a service for those people who are really on track with wanting to truly change their life, because I get a lot of people coming to me, they just want to go through the system. My answer is no, you have to be on track with doing it, because I create results and you are the product of those results. And if you're really serious, you really want to go through a healing state, it's understanding that that first step you take has to be a potent and powerful step, and that last step you take is the most potent and powerful step that you can take in this interim time frame where you're recalibrating the body, understanding what the soul's trying to do with it, and what the external drug you did actually did to you, so you can begin to remove the trauma that are in your tissue. That's why having massage before the float tank, you can begin to get the soft tissue release. If there is no soft tissue release, the trauma is there. And that's why so many people go out and have psychic healings and this and that, and the trauma keeps coming back and back, because it's retained actually in the fascia.
Okay.
This
is great information.
Your fourth cranial sacral session, you should have what's called a full-on unwind, where when the cranial person is moving your head in a small semicircle, and all of a sudden your whole body, all your muscles begin to let down in a spiral pattern, and people start to shake and wither, and some people stand up, because all of a sudden what has been tight for a decade is suddenly loose, and there's this burst of energy that goes through their body. A release of electricity. Yes, that has been bound up in these fascia pieces that are so wound so tight that they're under heavy tension.
Yeah.
Okay. And in most cases, when you're dealing with, let's say, the heroin, when you are going through your withdrawals, you must understand the damage that is doing from the continuous vomiting, the mental depression that it's doing to your fascia. Okay. It is done. I can't even begin to describe the level each time you're going that it does to you. Other reason you do not do the soft tissue, you will continuously have those moments where the fascia will release a reminder of withdrawal, and the body will begin to literally salivate for it again.
Yeah.
Right.
Those
you get
triggers,
triggers it.
Yeah.
And you got to remove the ability to have triggers. That's where doing the spiritual work of cleaning the colon, doing the flotation tanks, and then beginning to do the ceremonial work that breaks contract vows and agreements, that uses the consciousness strike. And for anyone that's out there in another situation, go to the website andrewbartzis.com. Under the insight page, there are 7 free contract revocations there that you can begin using to deprogram yourself. And you can take the same recipes you've heard, and wherever there's a float center around you, they're not that expensive. Get as many as you can as fast as possible, so you can give yourself an opportunity to make the most invested choices in your life. Healing, nurturing, because that's what ultimately the damage to the drugs did to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great to have this information. I've been.
Are there anything else that you want to bring up that might be relevant as part of your growing process, or questions that you?
I was wondering if there was anything specific when it came to creating revocations on the spiritual side of what's going on in the unseen world, with addicts. If there's any more specific things, or does the consciousness strike and the revocations pretty much cover what needs to be covered?
So it doesn't cover everything, because everyone's a unique being. And there are certain things each people do in the degradance of the drug to themselves that make different aspects. So there are some people who have to do a lot more sacred feminine work versus masculine work, and there are others that just need to do the self-healing because they have a strong enough mind or heart, and others who are so broken they can't tell the difference between realities anymore. And every time they fall asleep, they're not certain what reality they're waking up to, which I'm sure you felt that after you've done benders before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is dream damage. And you got to heal the intestinal tract so those rips in time don't stay, because it is the dreaming body lives within the intestinal tract. Get those intestinal parasites out there. So what is in the unseen world for heroin addicts? Ghosts, 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 and demons. What's the difference between a ghost and a demon? A ghost is young and only has a handful of techniques of how to steal energy from you. And a demon is not associated to any religion. It's just a ghost who's figured out many ways of harvesting energy out of you and not even being near you. Okay. Heroin addicts get the demons, the ones that are very capable of manipulating you, everyone around you, to not squeal on who's doing what. They're also there to make other ghosts, because eventually heroin addicts die, and they make a collection of them who make them become like a ghost mafia, literally.
Oh, wow.
Right. You know how bad the drug industry is. You know what? Let's give some mothers and fathers out there what it is to go and buy drugs. You drive up on a street corner, somebody comes up and puts you exchange money, drugs go. What's behind that? You know what's behind that? Sex, prostitution, all that other stuff.
Yeah, it's all tied into that.
All tied into that.
Yeah.
Okay? You've entered that world. Mm-hmm. So then the level of you have to go through yourself. Once you know you're hooked and you can't ever get off. That's shame, blame, and guilt. That's the three whips of the consciousness that are attacking you over and over again. That's what the drug does to you.
Yeah, it's a constant battle. Shame, blame, and guilt are a constant battle, for sure.
That is that is the trauma that's inside the muscles right now, inside the fascia. All of those shame, blame, whipping moments that you had.
Yeah, I do want to say that, like, that at the event, though, that's one thing that was able, a perspective that shifted in me that, you know, I don't know, I'm trying to grow out of that. So thank you for that.
Good. You're doing good. Now it's taking the daily practice to the next level.
Yeah, I'm ready for the next level, I believe. I was thinking about making a device to kind of anchor me into the next level. Is that something?
Like a beeswax tool like I had at the event?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. It's all about what are you going to invest into it and what are you going to program it. So a lot of those things have to have direct intention into them. And if you can do what I've talked about before, at the end of that, go ahead and build a tool. And if you find right amount of crystals, so you first, you're going to need lapis, clear crystal quartz, pink tourmaline, and black tourmaline, for sure.
Okay.
And then whatever else you find, pyrite would be very, very good in that too. The key is you do need a bit of more volume. You can't just, underdo it. You really have to put a lot of volume. You saw the size of the ones that I. So if you get something that's like a 6-inch pie dish, you can go on eBay and find what I just said for pretty cheap to fill it up. So it's really not barren and empty. Okay. And my guess is around $125, $135 in crystals and whatever else you can put in there that you would want in there, that you are going to use your Living the Mystical Life Daily book to program in there. So it's a constant emanation to you of the other forms of looking at your psychic reality. Because your drug mind and your criminal mind that's attached to the drug mind is using your psychic skills even against your will right now. And you've got to wrestle control from that other criminal side of you invested into drugs, saying, I want it to be about my spiritual life. I have such an intense focus of how to get it, where to go, who, all that. Why am I not redirecting it to solving my own spiritual life problems and issues?
Yeah.
how advanced,
redirecting that energy.
think about how advanced and evolved your ability to find it is.
Mm-hmm.
Seconds.
Oh yeah.
It's thinking
Yeah.
you go get it.
Yeah, I guess you do create all sorts of systems, and
Yes.
not just. Yeah, it's there's a lot of energy that goes into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time to redirect it.
Protect it. Retask the skills. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So you have time for one more question, then I gotta move on.
I didn't have one ready. I'm drawing a blank, Andrew, and I don't want to waste any more time. What you gave me is so phenomenal. I'm just gonna I'm gonna be okay with that.
Yeah. So your investment there is not much. 10 flotation tanks. Parasite crayons and a whole bunch of colonics or home kalimas, 6 to 10 of them at least. So you give yourself a chance, clear out all of the old stuff, so that you can begin your ceremonial process to the next level, and you have yourself the next chance where you'll be able to truly make choices without the other drugs influencing you.
All right, that's great.
All right, take it easy.
Now, yeah, thank you. I'll call back once I get through this.
All right, Robert, spin the wheel of colors.
That was a great call. Our next caller will be Creative Beauty from Auckland.
From Auckland, New Zealand. Are you there, Creative Beauty? Going once. Going twice. Creative Beauty, is that you? Going 3 times. Are you there?
Are you there? Hello.
Hello, Creative Beauty. Are you there?
Yes, I'm not.
We are having issues here. I hear clicky clicky. Now I cannot hear her. And
Are you
who
there?
who do we have now? Who is this?
Is this me?
What is
Hello.
your Hi, me. What is your name?
My name's Ngawai, and thank you so much for taking my call.
You said your name is Nora?
Ngawai.
Yeah, okay.
New Zealand Māori name.
Yeah.
Ngawai.
So, to the show, how did you find out about me?
Facebook came up on my news feed, so I've been exploring your shows for a couple of months, I think. Sharing your posts and.
Great. So what have you learned in the shows? And there's any specific questions you'd like to ask me?
I've had a couple of shifts. I am. Oh, now my mind's gone blank. What have I learned? Meditations, revocations, claiming my own space. Don't know, Andrew. I'm nervous.
Well, break contracts, vows, and agreements with being nervous. Don't let it be nervous.
Okay.
You're on with the program. I've done 1,500 live hours. You can't be nervous. So, what did you want to talk about today?
I've had a few things, but today I think I'd like to explore autism again. I'm quite sure after listening to a lot of your shows, it has to do with the toxins that I carried and the previous caller, the intestinal bacteria, parasites, etc., etc. Yeah. Also, dream time. My dreams have changed, and they don't seem to be quite as controlled, or what do you? They seem really out of whack at the moment.
Yes, everything is out of whack because the light that's coming from the sun is so screwy right now. Did you know that we had a period of 0 sunspots but had full aurora borealis?
I didn't know. Not recently, no.
Yes, that was 2 weeks ago, 2 Saturdays ago.
Okay.
Did you also know that
Okay.
we have had some other things go on in this world that's very strange and unusual, like light frequencies in the sky where people can see, hazes where they're not there. All sorts of unique things are going on in our atmosphere, and
Okay.
that directly affects our dream time. Directly
Oh,
affects our dream time. We've
okay.
also had solar storms that have come at us with such intense magnitude, but they were very short ones that are back in December and January that are still affecting us now. It's like, going into the microwave oven for a popcorn treatment, then you coming out and saying, "Hey, I need more popcorn," and going in and we get popped again. Okay? We're
Yeah.
never seeds of popcorns inside ourselves that is being microwaved by all the frequencies that are around us. And we're all growing and growing in density and strength and power right now. And many people become unhinged in this reality, or feel lethargic, or feel like they're walking through molasses and nothing is getting done.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
This is when other life forms are getting a boost in energy when we aren't, such as intestinal parasite entities. They're drawing upon our energy because the sun is changing our frequency, and they are taking our change potential away from us. That is why so many different drug addicts who are going through withdrawals get stuck, because the parasites are also addicted to the cocaine, the heroin, or whatever else they're stuck on. So if you don't take an integrative way of readjusting the body internally and the muscle level and the intestinal level, at the trauma level, seen and unseen, you're going to have continuous relapses over and over again. For the same people that are holding extra heavy weight. Okay? In most situations, you have a light form of parasites that naturally come in the ground beefs that are around that you get, and then you get other things that are like candida based that are creating sugar cravings, and then the candida is stealing the majority of your food's calories from you.
Yes.
And this is why a lot of people are stuck at a weight, or find themselves just getting off the water weight. The candida hasn't gone away at the mucus layer, and then the short of going all the way down to the mucus layer to get all of the things that are craving reminders.
Okay. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. What questions do you have?
Questions. I've got my little autistic child here at the moment, so
Okay. Do you want to talk about autism?
Maybe. Yes, if you could. And I've started her on what's the bacteria? What do you call it? The good bacteria.
Probiotics?
Yes.
Yeah. How old is she?
So she's 8 now.
She's 8 now. So what does her diet consist of now?
Her diet is very shocking. I'm spaghetti, wheat, carbs, basically carbs.
Okay. You got to stop.
Not good.
You got to stop that.
Yes.
You have to endure the time that it takes for her to get something else that she likes. Okay? To invest the time, otherwise stay on carbs, she's never going to change.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, I understand that now.
Okay?
You want your ball, okay.
Okay. The second is, can people touch her? Other people touch her?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she loves hugs. She loves hugs.
Would you be willing to have a cranial sacral myofascial release person work with her?
I'm willing to try.
If you can get her to relax during that time, and I mean really, really relax to allow the practitioner to do the work, you can notice a tremendous change in her sleeping habits, where she'll sleep all the way through the night without problems and wake up refreshed, as well as be easier to get her to take afternoon naps.
Yeah.
Okay, and then her overall disposition by her fourth or fifth cranial sacral myofascial release, she should have a tremendous change in her physical body too.
Mm.
You got to follow. I mean, once her body changes, and she can start putting on muscle in the right places. So, one of the biggest issues with autistic children is because they never get any body work done to them. They don't have their soft tissue work done. They begin to grow muscles all in awkward positions, and no normal workout exercise routines apply to them because their muscles are not in their natural position. Some areas are atrophied and other areas are overbuilt up because of the way they hold their head and their body. Get her back to a natural mechanical function. Important. It's like driving on a car that doesn't have balanced tires. That means you wiggle back and forth. And eventually that wiggling causes damage to other parts of the body. The next area for her by the time she's 12, 13, 14 is hip issues. So many autistic children end up with hip issues because they learn to walk funny. Okay? Does she wear insoles in her shoes? Inserts? Caller, are you there? Caller. Robert, is the caller still there?
Looks like we still have her, but no audio.
No audio. Let's give it another minute, 30 seconds here. It's an interesting conversation. I know Robert has a brand new baby too, and it's been tough for you to get sleep.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be checking out the craniosacral points, because the baby, I know that wears on the baby as much as us too,
Yeah.
And she needs it, for her growth and everything she's going through.
Yeah, because babies grow so fast. That's why infant cranial sacral is so vitally important for the young baby growing, because it stops a lot of the crying that goes on when they rapidly grow. Their body grows faster than their fascia and muscles can, and that's why they cry out and they can't sleep at night. Something else might be there too. All right, so Robert, let's move on to the next caller.
Okay. Next caller will be Chris from Las Vegas.
Chris from Las Vegas, are you there?
I am. I'm honored for you to take this call. I'm not from Las Vegas. I feel that's an important distinction. I've had this phone number for a while, but I'm actually driving in South Carolina right now.
Well, in South Carolina. So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I have a couple things. I say again, it is an honor to speak with you. I've been following for quite some time. My first question, I guess, is just kind of, where are we right now? I know a lot's been going on. There's been a lot of synchronicity with what's already been discussed today, but it just seems that everything's a little bit out of whack. And I was just,
it is.
I guess that's my question to start out with.
All right, so it is. So first thing first, I'll drop it like it's hot right now. Think of a hot potato I'm going to put into your consciousness hands. We don't actually have a secure mental concept of an American president. Donald Trump has shattered every aspect of that, of not being a president and being a president at the same time. So there is an uncertainty within the United States people of our future. And that is really the first time there has been an uncertainty factor in the collective of people that are citizens of the United States. And there are global citizens, the rest of the countries that are out there, who also have a level of uncertainty. That uncertainty is brand new with the system, and it is trying to figure out how to deal with it. So it is creating new algorithms of trying to predict how people will react to uncertainty, to global political views. Now, this is the manipulation of the global narrative at the highest levels. And when you manipulate the global narrative, you are going to be affecting all of those programs that have been put in place over 50 years to dumb us down, to make us think stupid things, to not educate ourselves, to not understand what life is, and that a lot of conspiracy world's telling the truth. Okay? A lot of people who listen to the show study a lot of other material out there. And a lot of the other material is trying to say this is happening. Right now, the best thing to say where we're at is the light dictatorship that previously existed no longer is in, let's say, full mafia don control power. They have ceded large portions of their ability to control things over to their other factions that exist out there. So a changing of the guard exists at the energy level, at the archon level, but the management that is still here has not been moved, not been removed, not been dealt with. We, the individuals, are the ones that begin to deal with these in our physical realities and sub-physical realities. Now, it is the energy that we are giving the system right now. When we as individuals who come together as collective communities begin creating ritual and prayers of forgiveness to the system, as well as other forms of breaking contracts, vows, and agreements, so that the energy of the system has potent power within yourself, we will find ourselves moving the global narrative so that we can create inside our own concepts, beginning to let go of Roman numeral time as the only definition of time. Now, those are some of the examples of what the transcendence material is talking about. Now, to add deeper layers to your questions, where are we at? We're exactly where we were 2012. We haven't gotten past. That's one of the reasons I labeled 27 Hope died. There's still a lot of people hoping that it's going to change. No, we make the change. I can comment on, some of the other material that's presenting, let's say this insider saying this insider saying that, this guy saying this guy saying that. There's no proof behind it. None of them have any proof. And what does that really mean today? Proof. What is proof?
That is a good question at this point, yeah.
All right, what is we're 6 years.
I get what you're saying.
What's proof? Is proof the global narrative accepting it? We do not have to. Okay? You still have a huge population addicted to the global narrative. It's you, the individual, that makes the individual change in you, so the global narrative no longer applies to you.
That's
match.
Exactly what I've actually been trying to articulate. Yeah. Previous conversations.
Now, is there anything specific you wanted to ask about? You were saying where we're at. Sometimes that people have their own interviews on what's going on.
Well, considering what I've worked, at least previous profession, you hit the nail on the head. So I guess I do have one other question on a totally unrelated topic, and then I would was wondering if there would be a possibility of getting just a quick reading if that's appropriate.
Yeah. Go ahead. What's the question?
Okay. Well, the first question, there is a very specific town. It's called Cairo, Illinois. It is written like Cairo, and in fact was named after Cairo. It is where the Mississippi and the Ohio rivers combine.
Uh-huh.
It's got quite a history, and it speaks. It's for some reason is very, very a part of either my mission or previous lifetime or something. But I guess my question is, what do the records have to say with regard to that area, and perhaps with regard to my own connection to it?
So you've lived past lives in that area many, many times before. And something you have to know, that's not the only place that those rivers have crossed over. The rivers change directions all the time. That is just the modern places that it's crossed over. So you've lived in times that the Mississippi and Ohio didn't actually cross over. It was two separate rivers when the ice mountains were still flowing. We're talking thousands of years ago. So my advice for you is to actually travel all up the Mississippi, all up the Ohio River Valley, all up the Minnesota River, all of those rivers. Take time to explore those rivers via the roads, because you'll uncover that you've lived in all of those places, and that making the connections of soul code for you makes this big bank of energy that you can store, because you've been to all these places where the highness of the water was. And the previous eras and generations are speaking out and asking you to make this the greater pilgrimage. You got exposed to where the rivers come together now. That's the rivers also in time that exist in other frequencies of time. And allow yourself to do spiritual ceremonies up and along these rivers so you can make a chain of energy that connects all the rivers to your spiritual journeys.
Okay. I guess my next question is, I have not been able to relocate to that area yet. I've traveled a little bit. I still want to do a lot more, obviously.
Uh-huh.
I guess my question is, everything is very in flux right now as far as my life goes. And I guess this is where I'm asking for any kind of insight to help me know
what do you do for a job now?
Well, there you go. Nothing at the moment. I have previously worked in politics. I've been trying to get away from it to some extent, and I'm trying to figure out what is next, and in fact, what vocation is next.
What did you do in politics?
As a matter of fact, I have been very involved running third-party and independent campaigns.
Okay.
I've had independent presidential campaigns specifically.
Okay, I get what you're doing. So you want to get out of that concept, but unfortunately, there are skill sets in there that have greatly needed today. So I'm just going to give a suggestion, and this is something you're going to have to mull over, and this is something that's part of your greater spiritual plan. Do you want to be a part of someone that's put into a position of power, and you actually have the skill sets, ancestral energies to make it happen? And when you choose to do that, as a conscious act of choice, as a spiritual being, you have unique opportunities that come forward to you. It's not about the candidate that run. It's the platform of change that you can create that ultimately can change a model of 10 presidents in the future. Okay? It's creating a whole new groundwork. Okay? Now, you have to make a choice about what you really want to do. And I understand where you're at. I think you need to undergo a good form of healing where you can get someone that can take care of your business needs for, let's just say, 6 weeks, and really put yourself on a deep self-healing, self-nurturing process where you're having the right level of body work, similar to what I described earlier into the show, but maybe in a much more refined scenario where you can really regenerate. So you can go on, let's just say, a writing binge, because you got to figure out who you are. Because you've run campaigns, you know the level of writing that you need to do, correspondence and talk, right?
Yes.
You need to gather all that strength in which you did for someone else and do for yourself. Write for yourself. Don't see this as a book. It may turn into one. That's okay, because you've got to see all the challenges that you went through to do it, because there are specific skill sets you want to own and take on into your future concepts.
Yes.
Okay. What level of education did you?
I actually left college to run a campaign. So
college to run a campaign. And what was your college degree going for?
At that time, it was actually radio broadcasting and political science. So a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B, I guess.
Okay. Just because you've helped somebody run a presidential campaign before, I guarantee you can find yourself a job at any AM or FM radio station that does politics. You just got to put your name in. You get an agent, your name out there. You will get hired quick, and that'll be a 60 to 80 grand a year job, 4 days a week. Guarantee it.
That would be nice.
Okay?
Is there any? I guess my question. I seem to be having to gravitate back towards a place in North Carolina where my family and where I grew up, although it's never been home. I guess, do I need to work towards putting some roots there, or is this just a temporary?
What kind of family is there? Is it everyone?
Not everyone. It's my mother is there and my granny specifically.
Okay. Okay.
Very close.
That's who you want to spend a lot of time with?
Sorry, say again?
And that's somebody you want to spend a lot of time?
I certainly don't mind spending time.
Okay. So where in North Carolina where are you going to go? Is it by the ocean or in the interior?
It's in the interior. It's actually Winston-Salem, which is,
okay,
to be frank, has a very dark energy about it.
Yeah.
And it does affect me.
Yeah, I know. So I'm gonna be a little blunt here. I don't think you should even be on the continental United States for a short period of time. Now, Hawaii, Guam, Alaska, any of the protectorates, any of the areas, if you can afford it and find jobs and actually like find a job in Hawaii, because I think with your skill sets and what you're saying is all adds up. You're talking radio station, TV station job, political reporter job. That's the biggest thing that's hiring right now in that industry, because politics is selling.
Very true.
Yeah.
What's funny, you mentioned Hawaii. I must say the only politician that's on the radar right now that I feel like could be an actual agent for change is from Hawaii, as a matter of fact. So
yeah. You got to get back into writing yourself. Some of your writings about what you need is a self-help model. Some of your writings, your spiritual concepts and models. Your other writings, my philosophy of life. You know, it's if you're going to have a candidate who's the perfect communicator, they still need a platform that's massive and gigantic that can affect a world. And you got to see your potential as a philosopher in creating a system in which it doesn't matter who your head is, as long as they honor the system of truth and integrity and perpetuity.
Yeah.
Yeah. A slogan that connects the people, just like spirituality does.
Yeah. Thank you for this. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Being in politics now is one of the hardest jobs out there, because are they at the forefront of change? No, they're at the forefront of nothing happening. Okay? Change, people in government can make change in seconds because of the level of, let's just say, nepotism and obstruction that exists, as well as corruption, which you know full well, right?
Oh, yes.
Until there's a populist candidate and a populist platform can take on social injustice without creating social justice warriors, because that's the worst creation that's coming right now with social justice warriors. You're just making zealots and martyrs.
Yeah.
Okay? It should be the prosecutors that should be our heroes to our children in the schools, who will go after the corruption and the nepotism. Okay? As you know, stop the road construction bills that are 50 times inflated, to stop all the other layers of obstruction that they can get to, that all leads back to political favors. Okay? Be willing to start arresting the congressmen and the senators for laws that we all know that they're breaking.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear. So you have to create a candidacy and a platform that not only says that, but does not create martyrs and zealots itself. There has to be some form of truth and reconciliation. That's very government-y terms, reconciliation. There's no platform right now that's offering truth and reconciliation to any form of government that needs reform. Let's say look at the VA. How bad the VA is, Veterans Affairs.
Okay.
Complete total bunk management 50 years for over 50 years. The level of criminals that are there that have been damaging and harming our troops that we've given so much effective love to. And yet we continue to let it happen and allow it to go through our politics. Okay? It can be fixed. The branch of government can be fixed. There needs to be a sweeping, connective, viral interconnection. And that's the platform that people understand. Then the next thing is, how does that platform get enforced? The president can only create laws, and then it's the legislature and then the Supreme Court. You got to also be willing to understand that the Supreme Court is an obstructionist system itself. Selectively choosing the laws in which to create political favors, because laws were enacted by the legislative branch with intentional holes of misperception in them. So your platform has to say the truth how the government actually runs.
Yeah.
That there must be an injured court case. Corporations are not people.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yep. I appreciate this very much. Is my last question is there someone I should seek to, as far as, because you talk about being able to afford it, well, that is a bit of a question at the moment. So, but I understand that I need to be in a different position.
Right. And North Carolina with your grant isn't going to do it. Haunted city isn't going to do it. It's
very haunted.
It's effectively ending your own choice of a future.
Understood.
Granny will love to come and visit you in Hawaii.
Fair enough. Understood.
Yeah. Understood. So there's something else that I'm reading in your energy field. So what were the longest work hours you had to do when you were running the campaign?
They could get a little crazy. They could definitely get a little crazy. The travel definitely could get long as well.
Give us a synopsis of what your week could be like. A very busy week.
A very busy week could involve, well, there was one time I had to wake up in LA, fly to New York, fly back to LA, and then drive to Colorado, and then work with field organizers on the ground in Colorado, and then drive to the next convention. And it literally, to the point where sometimes you wake up in a hotel room and you're trying to, as you're grounding yourself, so to speak, trying to remember which state you're in.
Yep. And
I remember one time my phone broke and I had to get a burner phone that had something like, I don't know, 2,400 minutes on it, and all the minutes were used up in less than like 3 days or something.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's
I
what
think it was less than 3 days. Actually.
That's what
anyway,
I'm.
But yeah.
That has done a lot of damage to your body, and it's probably giving you a lot of let's just say foggy moments where in between conversations fog can come over you. What was I talking about, or lost point topic, stuff like that. Yeah. So it's important that you understand that during this time that you're looking for a new job to continue your career, because you got to have money coming in, and you can't let the work that you've just done be wasted away living in a haunted ass town in North Carolina, where you can be creating your own philosophy, still connected to the news industry to make yourself relevant during a time that they need political news speakers, as well as to support other people that you believe needed to be elevated. Now, the key for you is balancing the forms of self-healing that you're going to do. You have a lot of dreaming catch-up work you got to do. So you got to be willing to take naps during the day, even if you got to go and eat a bunch of turkey, put yourself to sleep during the middle of the day. Afternoon naps, and like with the other caller, the flotation tank, and then getting yourself into a refined system that allows full-on colon cleansing, or doing the colonics, or learning how to do it at home can save you a lot of money. That's called Colimas, Coliema, something. I believe that's how it's spelled.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's definitely synchronistic with the previous callers, talking about parasites and whatnot. That definitely resonates.
And you got to be serious with it, follow through with it, and really do it. I have a 30-day home kit you can do, or I tell people the most effective way is to do colonics at a facility or home Colimas, and you can take the parasite cleanse, while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Have you done any of the contract revocations?
I've done a few, a couple. I have not done all of them, and I have used, just today I actually used your language, shall we say, to kind of end a situation that I knew was not a good one. But I know I need to do more on that for sure.
Mm-hmm. So my advice for you is to pick up the Union and Communion Consciousness Strike, and it takes about 20 minutes to read out loud. Just keep reading it once a day, and make sure you start recording yourself. And a lot of times, if you make enough recordings that you really like, you can leave them playing inside your home. So when you come home hours later, that it's still playing. Like if you have an extra laptop or iPad or something, leave it playing on repeat all day long. Also, as well as listening to your own recordings of the consciousness strike. So you can begin some form of daily practice of saying no to the system that you entangled with, which was a very unsovereign era in your life, and you're trying to make changes now. And the consciousness strike is going to say what you do not want to exchange energy with. This is going to greatly assist you at finding your right job in an industry that's full of charge and polarity. So the right people will also be employed already. So it'll be a good job fit for you. Okay?
Gotcha.
Because you understand in the news and political industry, it's assholes and dickheads who are the leaders.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
Right.
Oh.
It's indicative of why the campaign sucks so much.
Yeah. And this last campaign did it for sure. Just exhausting.
Right.
So.
But the irony is they're going to start gearing up. I'm sure you're going to get phone calls from the random people that want to know what you're doing.
It's begun. It has begun already.
It has begun already, because there's about to be $5 billion thrown into the coffers.
Yeah.
Right, $5 billion.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
something else you can do is start your own podcast too.
One thing that I've had a lot of trouble with is that I've actually managed to go this far without really talking about what I think or what I believe. For lack of not wanting to, for not wanting to piss people off. But I guess this is part of finding my voice, so to speak.
Uh-huh. Finding your voice in writing.
And writing, yeah.
And writing. It'll make you a better people manager too.
Noted.
Correspondence is lost in these modern generations of how to correspond properly in business format, let alone political format, because they're a whole different set of rules when you're in politics versus business.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
You should be investing investing into chronicling for yourself, because a year or 2 years from now, that might be a book. Or you just light the fire up under your ass and you bear the whole truth of what the industry is really like.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, you ever watch a TV show? You ever watch a TV show called Anthony Bourdain, No Reservations?
You know, I know of it. I don't believe I've ever watched it though.
So he was an author. He was a chef in New York City that wrote a book called Kitchen Confidentials. And it basically was a tell-all truth of how all the New York chefs backstab and fight each other and all the strange things that go on in kitchens. And that's why it's called Kitchen Confidential. And he went from a nobody who was an ex-heroin addict who's now was running a restaurant to being like the New York Times bestseller for 7 or 11 years in a row. That level of, the book impacted people that much. Okay? I believe you have that same potential. Okay? He has reality TV series all around him. I would very much advise you to go read the original Kitchen Confidential book and look how his career just exploded. Your career has the same way to explode, but you are your own brand, and your brand is your philosophy that you want to bring to a greater political community.
I guess I've been so caught up with other bullshit, excuse me, in the past little while that I forgot that is always what I've really wanted,
Well, now it's time to heal yourself. Get on that path to self-healing and self-nurturing. I greatly advise you, if you don't already have the Living the Mystical Life Daily course, to go and get it. It's a 6-week course that you can do from anywhere in the world, and it has all the techniques for you to go and begin that practice to be your own self-illuminated master.
So we'll do just that, actually.
Yeah. Okay. All right, man. Do you have any?
Thank you again for this. Just, I guess, is there any? At the moment, I still got to figure out, where to rest my head for the next little while. Do you have any advice as to how I can?
Are you just driving? Are you just driving right now?
Yes, I'm pulled over at the moment, but yeah, that's correct.
Do you have your whole house with you, or just a couple suitcases?
Just a couple suitcases.
All right, just let me scan a second.
Most of my stuff, unfortunately, is still unfortunately in a storage unit in the haunted ass town. So.
I get it. Okay, so let me just tune into you better. What year were you born?
1985.
Okay, and where are you at right now?
At this very moment, I am in South Carolina.
All right, just let me scan. Do you know somebody that is in Hilton Head? The Barry Island, Hilton Head. Do you know?
I do not know anybody there, at least not that I know of.
It is a vacation area spot, and there are a lot of timeshares that are there. I would really like for you to look at your Rolodex of who might be vacationing, or look on your Facebook who might be in Hilton Head Island. It's a huge, huge, huge golf community.
Okay.
And if you are able to find any connections to go and hang out there for a couple days to rest your head before you head to the haunted ass city, go ahead and do that. If going to the haunted ass city is your only option, it is okay. But it is very important that you would record the consciousness strike and let it play in your car for the rest of the drive there. Okay.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
And then you got to begin a daily spiritual cleanliness practice while you're there. Otherwise, the energy is going to start eating you away until you're ready to claim your power back from it. Okay? And it's not your family that's haunted; it's the ancestors on the land. That's why the consciousness strike is one of the best things for you now. And then is to learn to do ceremony there. People may not respect you there. That is Christian country still.
Yeah.
Okay? There's, you got to make it look like you're, cooking a steak out there and just reading your stuff to it. Private,
Yeah.
be private with what you're doing and just saying, I'm just listening to some music. That's why I say this out loud, name it to claim it system. Once you start doing your own recordings, people don't care what you're listening to. So therefore, you can be taking walks and listening to your own voice as the greater teachings. Okay?
Never thought of it that way, but yeah, I get it.
Owning the signature frequency. All right, man, I got to let you go and move on to the next caller. Thank you so much.
Understood. Thank you. It has been an honor. I appreciate it very much.
So I want to remind people that are wanting to have a private session with me, we are doing some specials right now. So if you go onto the website, andrewbartzis.com, and you haven't signed up for our news email, you will find inside the news email that we are running a special. So contact mpa@galactichistorian.com. Those of you that choose to buy a session can also get the Living the Mystical Life course at $400 off. We are bringing this special to you because we want to begin practicing masters now. That's leading up to the Living the Mystical Life Daily live event, October 4th through the 7th, 2018. All right, Robert, spin the wheel of callers.
Julia in London or England area.
Julia in England, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm okay. I'm surprised you hit me.
So what did you want to talk about today?
So for several months, I've been psychically attacked, particularly since my granny came to stay with us over Christmas.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't last Christmas, but the Christmas prior. And since then, I've been trying to, haven't been feeling as clear as I once felt. And I feel like my energy, I feel like my heart has been compromised.
Mm-hmm. Have you read any of the contract revocations?
Yes, so I've done a lot of that, and it's been quite difficult. I mean, one time I was writing a contract revocation, and I was surrounded by really dark entities. But there was one part when I started writing, and then they all scurried out of the house.
Uh-huh.
So I guess that worked, but it's still kind of ongoing.
So as the previous caller, you have to have a daily practice where your strength and power and potency grows. Otherwise, beings are constantly going to be testing you at what strength can you really resist. Okay? So entities target a person for a while to see what your endurance level is. Right now, your endurance level is being challenged, and it's not necessarily by your grandma. It's the ancestors of the land. You have to know the difference between our ghosts and what are ancestral issues between mother and father, daughters, so on and so forth. I think in your situation, what you must understand is this is an ancestral issue that is causing, let's just say, the form of psychic attack that you're perceiving. This is where reading the contract revocations out loud, not writing, reading them out loud to your environment with energy. Now, you don't necessarily have to read them to your house. Like if, say, you don't want anyone to hear you, you go out for a walk or out to a park or somewhere where you can begin reading them out and begin to have some emotion flow through them, really put some power behind them. If you're a meek voice, it'll have a meek resonance to it. These contract revocations are written to empower you, to embolden you, to create rules, borders, policies, and procedures on what entities can or cannot do. You can outcreate any entity there. You can outcreate 10,000 entities in one light worker joke at the right time, or the right way of saying no with such force and belief behind it that these things go cowering away or instantly disappear because they can no longer even support the basic atoms that they need for photonic light. We have at any moment in time the strength to banish anything from our reality and it never return.
And these ancestors from the land. Is this go back a long time, or?
Yes, this goes back a long time. This is why you've had such a unique experience with where you're at right now. And you're being challenged right now because it's asking you right now, must have a greater spiritual practice if you want to stay on that land. You cannot be a wimp. You cannot be a poor student. That land demands attention from the spiritual people that are on it. Otherwise, it rules your life.
I can lose my life.
No, it rules your life.
Oh, I see.
Rules your life because it's creating the drama all the time. And you're always dealing with the drama that isn't yours. But in fact, it does have something to do with it. It is looking for you to co-create with it somehow a form of remedy and resolve energy through your spiritual practices and the spells that you create on your own land. It's asking you to become a practitioner of ancestral resolution.
I see.
Okay?
And
London is haunted. London is a haunted ass city. All throughout that area is haunted, haunted, haunted. Okay, haunted by ancestral ghosts that support a system of domination and control. People that have had slave lives, most of their lives, that passed on in unmarked graves, tens of thousands, if not millions of them, over thousands of years. And you're dealing with the accumulation of all of that energy around you. And the type of energy being that you are very sensitive to beings who are trapped and incapable of taking them out of what's trapping them. So you do all these Dreamtime missions and entangle yourself in very dark places. And you've got to learn to disentangle from that. That's why the consciousness strike is one of the most effective tools from getting you out of these false dream worlds that have entangled you into arguments that never end.
I noticed when I do go to Dreamtime, I've been into very dark places that.
Yep. Because it's reflecting what you're going through in your physical life, which is much worse in the unseen world. So have you signed up for the newsletter for the Living the Mystical Life Daily online course?
No, not yet.
Well, I very much advise you to sign up for the newsletter, and then you're going to get three new meditation teachings, one called the Sanctuary for All Souls, one the Advanced Heart Meditation, the other one the Shaman's Death. I highly advise you to do that along with the Consciousness Strike, as long as these entities are doing anything and trying to penetrate into your reality. You need to begin to see yourself as a bricklayer. Each time you read, every word is another brick in fortifying your reality so that they cannot enter or pass through or give you debt.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I ask another question?
Sure.
I've been having trouble. Like I feel like I'm in a crossroads in terms of my life, and I'm not sure whether I should like continue finding a job or establish like my own venture.
Do you have any jobs now?
No, I just finished my master's.
And what's your master's in?
African development.
Say that again.
African development.
African development. And where you're in London now?
In Finsbury Park.
Okay, just give me a second. So do you have any political desires?
I'm trying to avoid politics.
Actually, like being in politics, an actual figurehead in politics, and not a supporter.
Yeah.
And you want to create coalitions and governments and stuff like that.
I'm more interested in technology and basically building businesses as opposed to politics. But I feel like working with politicians would be part of that.
Okay, I understand what you're trying to do. So do you have technologies to invest or pitch to any organizations? Have you done research on the types of things that you want to work with?
No, not yet, but I'm on the course of doing research on that.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little piece of advice here. Research is one thing, and then hard research is another. Have you ever done really hard research for your, let's say, your master's? Like, what was your biggest paper you had to write?
I wrote one on Just lost it. It was basically on how the Gates Foundation basically endorses technical solutions without actually looking at evidence.
Okay. So have you brought any of these papers up to your business level is what you got to do here. You've got to look at the work you did in your master's group, your master's class, and say, is this business worthy for me to take a concept to someone?
I see.
So you also have to have money. You know, how are you supporting yourself now?
I'm living off my savings right now.
And how long do you think till that runs out?
Very soon.
Very soon. So the answer is you got to get a job. You can't get your savings to zero and then go get a job. That's just dumb. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, what kind of job would you go out and get?
Ideally in technology or consulting.
No, what would you do to just pay the bills and still have somewhat of a life in which you can still make choices?
Like any job that I would just do right for now.
Correct. So you don't deplete your savings at all, even if that means getting a job at a law office or as something that's good pay and then keeps you busy enough to not be out partying all the time.
Okay.
So that you have enough free time to yourself to develop your business ventures so that you can determine, well, maybe I need to go and get this job for a year and this job for a year because it gives me work experience that I desperately need so I can create my own platform. Now, for a degree in African development, you know, you got to look at developing Africa, right?
That's the point. I mean, ideally, I want to move there and basically build my business there.
Yeah, but you have to have your business concepts here and then your investors here before you go and develop there. Got to have some form of context. You're not going to find the money, the investment money there because of the corruption that's already there.
Yeah.
See, you're trying to change a country that isn't ready for change. You know, London's not ready for change. Germany, none of the countries are ready for any form of significant change. Therefore, education and education and education is the most important thing you can do as a political contributor and a developer. Is to start educating people and start giving out information on the internet that is good information for young Africans who want to begin developing their country, plant seeds into their mind.
I see.
Okay? There are all sorts of techniques and farming techniques that are out there that you can go and learn and make videos about, whether they're professionally done or volunteer done from big organizations who want to actually start teaching people how to create gardens in their home that can feed their whole family, and a network in which they can buy non-GMO seeds. Okay? Get what affects them. Get right to the stomach. Okay, there's also other products that can clear the guts of the people who've got parasites because they have unclean water. There's also other stuff about clean water that you can begin to introduce that are common products all over the world, but not common over there.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to understand that your research time has to actually be able to make money for you on business. I can guarantee you, if you were to spend 50 hours of hard research in water purification and 50 hours of hard research on securing a line of non-GMO seeds, you could come up with a series of videos that can be highly educational to anybody in any third world country. That's doing good work and understanding that you can make a profit off of it just by educating the people, and then here you have the opportunity to buy the non-GMO seeds at a price that isn't rip-off and rapist.
Okay.
You got to see how you can give back with your brain. All the methodology is already there. You just got to assemble it in documents and make it into a script format so you can begin to educate people how to do it on their own, so that they begin to build communities even before you move there. Build up a Facebook page with 1,000, 5,000 followers, 10,000 followers.
Yeah. I never thought of making educational videos on something which is developmental in focus.
Yeah, you can. Educate, educate, educate. Okay? That's the most important thing you can do right now in the position you're in, is begin to educate them. And then these educational processes you create will attract people that want to invest in your education modules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? How many years of college or university have you done?
So I did my undergrad, and then that's 3 years, and then my master's 1 year.
Okay, so that's a lot of education.
Pardon?
That's a lot of education you've done. Okay?
Yeah.
You're breaking these courses to syllabuses and modules so people can easily learn how to do it. How to make change, how to make effective change in local governments.
Mm.
Okay? How to build communities and organizations that don't fight each other.
Yeah.
How to resolve conflicts. How to collectively bargain with big corporations. Man, that's one hell of a resource that I think a lot of people would love to have as a community who's having their mining rights stolen by big corporations all the time. You can create field manuals that stop the corporations from ripping off the local people. Anything. You have an unlimited value here. Your whole global narrative is your target, not just Africa. Any country that doesn't have the same infrastructure as the big countries.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. In all of your studies about Africa, why has Africa never become one nation?
I guess I have no answers for that right now.
There is an answer to it. Because the world never allowed it to. That's why. The world never allowed it to. The whole continent was cut up into maps by Europeans that were in the middle of not even in Africa, and didn't know what any of the tribal lines meant. They never talked to any of the people. They didn't care about any of them. They could have easily organized on their own with basic governmental techniques. And this is something you might want to create as a philosophy model of how Africa unifies under a common government that they could all accept has the rule of law to it. And that's a philosophy, that's super detailed of what all the laws are. A philosophy. Like Ubuntu. Okay?
Yeah.
Right now, there's Ubuntu. Michael Tellinger has a full package for anyone that wants to run as a political representative of Ubuntu in any country, in any political platform. He has a model for you to go and use. So you can be in South Carolina, you can be in London, you can be in Moscow, you can be anywhere in the world that's got a government that has a platform, and you can bring Ubuntu as a in middle of Florida or Tennessee or Mexico that elects local government. You also got to choose to own your power, darling, in a whole new way. If you want to be an agent of change, you got to change what has slowed down in yourself. You had to slow yourself down to finish your education. You had to live life. Now you have to find the greater focus of putting together these projects, these videos, whatever it's going to turn out to be, so that you see yourself, your brand, that is you, as the grand educator in the philosophy of African development or any country development. And there are parts of the United States that are just as third world as Africa. Or worse. Yeah, all over. Poverty is worldwide. this way. I think it was in the late 90s that, or no, it was early 2000s. They did a census study of what it would actually take to feed the whole world for an entire decade. And it was only $180 billion to feed everyone with transportation, everyone in the world. 180 billion.
Oh my gosh.
$6.4 trillion dollar deficit here, and we're talking, that's penny ante. The one battleship costs more than that. Okay?
Yeah.
When you present the stupidity of spending comparative to those common numbers that are out there, you can create infographics that can be your tools to instrument change.
Hmm. That's what unfortunately Oxfam does. The news numbers.
Yeah.
Stop people and basically shape the dialogue on certain topics, particularly poverty.
Mm-hmm. So, are there any other questions that you want to ask?
I guess not. I think it answered all of it. Particularly, I was quite taken back by the ancestors of the land thing.
So you need to begin to do ceremonies on your property and your land to balance ancestral energies. You're all about developing Africa, but you're being educated in London. There's an ancestral opposition energy there of all the slave energy. You got to break all the contracts, vows, and agreements and exchange energy from all sides of that equation. You got to find a sacred neutral balance with the ancestors of your land by giving ceremonies that educate them on who you are, and what you're doing here, and what you're intending to take to the world.
Hmm.
You got a bright future ahead of you. Very, very bright future. You have a very bright future ahead of you if you choose to emanate the light. Become a teacher, a global teacher on the global narrative, how things really work, and how to create real change within the political systems and mechanics that we have. All right, darling, I must end the call now. Thanks a lot for calling in.
Thank you.
All right. So I want to thank everyone that's listened to this show today. I want to remind everyone to go to andrewbartzis.com and look up the Insights tab page. If you guys have been listening for a while and have not read any contract revocations, now is the time to do it. We are coming up onto the March equinox. That's when the light and dark is balanced through the day. That we are coming out of great equinox. This is the time people should be out doing ceremonies in every way, shape, and form that you can do. The more you invest in your time now, the more you will earn and learn during these times of light and generational change. All right, everyone, this has been an incredible show of adventures into reality. In 2 weeks, we'll be back with our Living the Mystical Life Daily coaching show. So that show will be for those that want coaching on their ceremonies, what they're doing with their Living the Mystical Life Daily. Go to mpa@galactichistorian.com to inquire about any sessions or the specials that we're running right now, along with purchasing the Living the Mystical Life Daily course. And reminder, October 4th through the 7th, 2018, in Los Angeles, California, we'll be doing Living the Mystical Life Daily. All right, everyone, thanks a lot and have a great night.